Hi everyone, and welcome to the Book Refuge. And we are located again in my bedroom. This is where I have my little office set up for now, due to the state of the world. But I want to keep bringing you guys book recs, and during the day when I have a chance in between meetings, it's fun to take a break and film something. So I think you'll probably see quite a few videos from this location. We got Captain America behind me right there, and one of my bookshelves back there. But today, as you can tell from the title, we're doing some more age gap recommendations, which I'm so excited to do. It took me a little while just because I had to wait to read some more, as well as find some that I really enjoyed. I recently just finished one that wasn't a super fun age gap, didn't have the level of angst and sexiness that I like. But I do have 6 for you to share that I've read over the past like 4 or 5 months, and I'm really excited about them all. So let's get started. These I all got on Kindle. Most of them I did purchase though, so none of these are actually on Kindle Unlimited. I think one of them is. All the rest of them I did purchase, but that's okay. I'm fine supporting authors because, you know, we all need to get our due. So let's start off. The first one I want to talk about is Blossom in Winter by Melanie Martin. This is the first in, I believe it's going to be a duology. She hasn't said if there'll be a third one, so I'm thinking it's going to be a duology, and I really like that because I love when you get to see the characters and not just in a continued, like, you know, sometimes they do the continued standalone so you see people again, but I like when it is just focused on the same couple. And so this one is a little more on the dubious side, I will admit, and it does, you know, every once in a while I have one of these that's just not the most wholesome to suggest. But Blossom in Winter is this girl named Petra, and she is 17 at the beginning of our series, which, yeah, I know, but this series is going to be so good. This is actually kind of a, like, it's not mob boss, it's more of like high-end businessman, but her father and his friend, they run a business together, and this guy has kind of been like an uncle figure to her. I know. But she starts to have feelings for him, and they start this very interesting relationship where a lot of people are against them, which of course they should be, but there's a lot of other things that get pulled into the story, which I don't want to spoil, which is why if you're okay, you know, separating the two in your head, clear that these kind of stories are fantasies, this shouldn't really happen in real life, I think that you would really enjoy this because this one had a lot of ups and downs. There's a little bit of kink in this story. There is real danger in it, and there's also tons of swoony moments. So I really enjoyed this book. The next one is going to be called Lured Into Love, and it's supposed to come out in just a month or two. And I'm part of Melanie Martin's Facebook group, and she actually ended up getting, this was first available online only, and now it got a printed release, and that's been really cool to see how it's doing. Next, I have to talk about Daisy and Reich in Hothouse Flower, which I have talked about them quite a bit in recent videos because I read the entire Addicted to You series and the Calloway Sisters series, as well as the sequel series that came after it that's called the Like Us series. So this one isn't a huge age gap, but it's interesting because this is a case of they've all kind of been friends, this group of people. There's the 3 sisters, and then there is their, you know, boyfriends and husbands that get pulled into this. And we first meet Daisy when she's 15, and she's a little bit crazy and wild. And Reich is 7 years older than her, so he's 22. And Reich is actually one of the other characters' long-lost brother, and he like didn't know that he was the brother. And he gets pulled into this family, and well, he chooses to find this family, and he's trying to help his brother get sober, and he helps like take care of Daisy. And I know it sounds weird when you read this series, it's so amazing, but they go through a lot of trauma together because this family ends up being on a reality show, and Daisy actually one of the producers gets footage of her naked and gets caught for child pornography because she's only 17 when he films her. And so Daisy's been through a lot of trauma, and she's a model, so she also has lots of people telling her that she's not pretty enough, that she's ugly, that she's too fat, just all these things getting said to her. And when she's 18, she's in Paris for Paris Fashion Week, and she literally gets stripped out of the clothes she's supposed to wear on the runway and told that she's too fat for them and kicked out. And so she has a mental breakdown. And at this point, like I said, she is 18, and Reich has, I mean, he's been her friend all this time, really keeping his distance because he does kind of have some feelings for her, but he's like, that should never happen. But granted, he's only 7 years older than her, so he's really only 25, which when we're talking about age gaps and this kind of stuff, to me, that's not one of the scarier ones or even a huge one. And, you know, once somebody's into their 20s, a 7-year age gap is not the same thing. But he ends up going to rescue her with his brother and the brother-in-law, and they go to rescue her, and that's when he finally is like, I'm tired of trying to stay away from you. You've heard it before. It's classic. But in their case, it feels so right. Like, I can't even fully explain like how right it feels, and that those two are supposed to be together and you just want it to happen, and they both need each other so much. And also Reich, he is a rock climber, and there's a whole bunch of books in this series where we get to see Reich and Daisy, but then there's another book about them that's called Long Way Down, which deals with their fertility issues, and Reich has some things happen in his rock climbing life that is very interesting. So that book is amazing. It will break your heart. Also, there's a little bit of homework to do with that one because you kind of need to read the rest to know what's happening in this love story. Then we just get a fun down and dirty one. Enough of the serious, heavier ones. The rest of these are just gold. This one's called Booty Call by Ainsley Booth, and this is about a girl and her sister's bodyguard. And when she's in town for a certain event, her sister's bodyguard gets reassigned to her, and they have an instant chemistry, and she decides that she wants to sleep with him, and he says no, but then she kind of relentlessly pursues him, and he regrets saying no to her, and they end up having this back and forth where he wants a serious relationship and she doesn't. She only just wanted to sleep with him because he was hot, and he's like, no, that's not how we're gonna play this. Like, if we're gonna be messing around, we're gonna be together. I'm not playing that game. And it was super hot. It was really cool. This one has kind of a lot of angst in it, but in a good way, because it's not the angst of people keeping them apart, because he's in his like later 30s and she's like 23, 24, but there's no one keeping them apart except for her, basically not wanting to settle down. But I really, really liked it. It was really fun. I read it really quick and dirty, good times. Then I read Liar by Fiona Cole. The next one I'm talking about is Liar by Fiona Cole. And this is part of the Voyeur series, which centers around this kink club that this family owns. And there's a little tiny prequel to this story where, because one of the things you can do at Voyeur is you can choose to watch something happen, or you can be involved in something, but you can choose to go watch something. And this girl, who we don't know at the time, she's 17 or 18, and she is the niece of one of the owners, and she sneaks in to watch something, and she ends up in the same room watching as her uncle's best friend, who also helps run the club. And they have a kind of a sexy encounter with each other, and then they never see each other again because she goes off to college. And 2 or 3 years later, I can't remember the difference, but I know that she's now like 20, 21. She comes home and she's getting offered an internship with her uncle's best friend, and they're all gonna have dinner together to discuss it. And they walk in and see each other, and they're like, oh my God, you're the person I've been thinking about for the last couple years, and you're also my uncle's, like, you're my best friend's niece, and oh my God, you're my uncle's best friend. And it just starts this crazy thing because now she's working for him and he doesn't have platonic feelings about her anymore. and that one was super fun. Again, this is part of a whole series in Voyeur, which only has one book left coming out, and I can't wait for it because I really love this series. This involved a bunch of different situations. There was a surprise pregnancy one, there was a gay romance, there was a there was just a whole bunch. This whole series is really fun, but this was the age gap one in it, and I really loved it. It was fun. Next, I have to talk about For Real by Alexis Hall. This is actually a male-male age gap romance, and it also is BDSM. I've talked about this novel also a ton in my like dark romances and in my male-male romance. Like, I really love this book, guys. I really freaking love this book. This book is about he is a submissive who's been a submissive for a really long time. He's in his late 30s, and he's kind of just done with it all. Like, that's still how he enjoys having sex, but he's really not into it anymore. And then he goes to the club the one night with his friends, and he meets this 19-year-old dominant who's never got to be a dominant yet because nobody really trusts or is ready for a 19-year-old to be their dom. And for some reason, Lori, who's the name of our submissive, he decides to give this kid a chance. And there's just something about the two of them. This book was, I don't know how you can call it cute, but it's so cute. It's so cute. And just how they both like bring each other alive and the struggles they go through, where Lori, he was in a very long-term serious relationship, but that relationship broke up 5 years ago, and he's still wanting that guy back. He still feels like it was broken, and so he's never been able to trust somebody the same way again. And also he like feels too old for this life, and he just doesn't know. And then he meets this kid who just completely reopens his life, and it's a struggle for them because being the dom of an older man causes lots of problems for our, you know, young dominant, but just watching them fall in love and figure things out is so good. And there's a lot of tragic things that happen in this book, and just watching their relationship blossom is like breathtaking. It was so good. I loved it. And then the final one I want to talk about, this one is so interesting. And now I only gave this one a 3.5 stars, but I really feel like I want to read it again and that I would give it a different rating. So that's why I put it on here. And that is The Unrequited by Saffron A. Kent. So this is a really interesting story because this is about a girl who is a stalker, and she has been stalking one of her professors. And now her professor, he's going through a weird time because his wife has severe postpartum depression and is a danger to their child currently. Their child is like 3 or 4 years old. And so he's going through a divorce with her and dealing with her emotions and all these things. And meanwhile, he realizes that he has kind of this stalker, and he decides to take advantage of this potentially mentally fragile girl, and is like, well, she's gonna stalk me, she's hot, and it's not like she's gonna tell anyone because she was stalking me first. So they enter into not the healthiest relationship. However, the places that this goes, like just how they're working through their trauma and the things we see about postpartum depression, and the way that we then see this girl, while she has this relationship with her professor who isn't treating her right, but also she realizes it's because of a lot of pain he's having. They both kind of like use each other to deal with their pain and are able to come out on the other side. And now he's realized he loves this girl, and she's like, but you've treated me really badly for the past how long, and I can't be with you anymore. And there's more to that to go on. I won't spoil the entire thing, but I just want to make you understand why at first blush this seems like a really messed up story, but the places it went with it and what comes out on the other side was fantastic. It was great. So there you go. There's 6 more age gap romances. I tried to pick ones that I haven't heard other people really talk about, just to give you new recommendations. I mean, everybody's heard Birthday Girl. I mean, always put in a plug for Birthday Girl, but you've all read it already. So anyway, there we go. Those are my new age gap romance recommendations. Let me know some of your favorites. I would love to find more. always want more of those. So thank you so much for watching. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week, and stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.